Okay, everybody, welcome back to another Fueling Your Passion podcast. By popular demand, it's in the air. It's fall, which means winter is right around the corner. The man himself, Bill, is here. Bill is a wealth of knowledge on everything and anything 509 related, as he is, leading the design team back there and helping push these guys to create cool products. And you have decades of experience in the outdoor world. So welcome back, Bill.
Good to be back. It's been a while.
Got to put you up here to get the juices flowing.
I've been saving up for this conversation. We've not chatted in a while.
I know it's overdue, but never a better time than when it's time to start thinking about what's in your gear bag and how to, hit the mountain or hit the trail in the most comfort possible.
Yeah. I just saw some snow up on the mountains last weekend.
Yeah.
It's coming.
The forecast, we'll believe anything at this point, but the long-term forecast, the temperatures off the coast, I'm like, give me all of it. I guess like if a donkey's hair grows a certain way, it means a good winter, and I'll believe anything, but It's trending in our favor for pretty much all the snow belts.
Yeah, it's looking like a good winter in front of us. I think we're all excited to get out and ride locally, but I think the last couple of years have taught us to go just chase the snow. It's snowing somewhere.
Yeah. There's always snow to be found. It's just how much time behind the wheel does it require?
Yeah, exactly.
But we got a lot to kind of dive into here. So I was going to let you take the stage here because, going into this season, there's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of kind of refined stuff, and there's a lot of staple pieces that have been there that may be overlooked when you're packing your bag for the season and getting ready to get out in the snow.
Yeah, I think as we're getting ramped up here in this fall 24 season, we've already been to Heydays. We got some other consumer shows coming on the way. What we hear from a lot from customers is, what do I need to wear to be warm, dry, and comfortable? Mm-hmm. That really is the kind of overarching question that we get a lot of. We have a lot of technology, certainly in the helmets and goggles, outerwear, boots, gloves, base layers. We've got a lot of product, but sometimes that can be overwhelming of like, what do I need to really stay warm, dry, and comfortable? So we're going to talk about some of the new stuff that we have coming out here for fall 24 that's launched. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about kind of trail specific guys, mountain guys. What do they need to stay warm, dry, and comfortable? And I think a really great thing for us to start with is just really start with a lot of the mechanics and what we obsess about here at 509. A lot of design development team as we build product. We're always dealing with really two basic aspects, and that is the thermal energy and moisture. So those two parts are really kind of important. I want to just get into a little kind of nonfiction storytelling time here and dive in, I think, a little bit on the thermal aspect and the moisture aspect. And then that will help us kind of, when we talk about some of these new products, why these would be a good choice, good recommendation. So we can start first, I think, with the thermal, the heat. Trail riders in particular are in cold temperatures, riding at really high speeds, long distances, and we've got to really keep them warm. So I think the insulation aspect is really important. We've got a natural force in there that we're really kind of working against, and that natural force is something at a high temperature and something at a low temperature. They want to get at equilibrium. Mm-hmm. They want to become the same temperature. And that's called driving force. As you kind of get, kind of looking at an easy example, you're up in the UP in Michigan, you're going to go out and it's minus 20 out, and you're going to go try to get the trailer off. And you grab the trailer chains, your hand gets immediately cold.
or stuck to it.
Or even worse, yeah, frostbit, and stuck. And we all feel that. We all see that. We all know that exists. And so in that example, your hand gets cold, and actually the trailer chain gets warm. Yeah. It exchanges that heat, and it will want to do that until they are both the same temperature.
And you have two extremes there of 98 degree, whatever, skin temp, and then negative 22.
Correct. That extreme, that delta, that temperature differential is really what we're fighting against. That natural force wants to bring those to temperature. So what we do there is to provide insulation instead of a hand and the chain, which really wants to conduct really well and exchange that heat really fast. We slow it down with insulation. So as we get into that a little bit more, we talk about insulations, and most of the insulations that we use are good insulations, but they're good insulations in kind of particular aspects. So I think we'll talk a little bit more about these insulations as we get into product, but it's really important to understand that not all of these insulations are created equal.
Well, a while back, a few weeks ago here, you did this kind of similar, a summit, if you will, with some of our pro riders.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about this stuff for years, but what you're going into now and what I heard then, I was able to, you painted a picture so well that I am looking at our catalog completely different.
Yeah.
Once you factor in humidity levels, elevation, even high and dry or low and gloomy and Revelstoke. There's so many factors that come into play that make a lot more sense once you understand how the gear is working.
Yeah.
It makes your purchasing that much easier too, and more confident depending on, it becomes a regional thing.
It does. And I think that's kind of why it's important to maybe talk about that, so that then there's a reason why to buy. You mentioned the moisture. That's another kind of important aspect. And the moisture is really important for us to understand and to manage. And we are made of moisture. The snow that we're riding on is made out of water. The air that we're riding through has a humidity level and a component. And so we see that moisture in water in all three of its phases. We see it in the solid state, in the liquid state, and the gas state. And we have to manage that moisture. That moisture also kind of works within the same kind of driving force. If you have a high humidity environment inside of a monosuit and you have low humidity outside, that driving force is what we use to get that moisture through the waterproof breathable membrane and try to be able to manage that moisture. But that is everything that we make. There's this moisture component to it that's like, how do we really manage that moisture well? How do we try to get it out of the system so that you can stay warm, dry, and comfortable?
And I know some of you listening are high moisture producing humans for sure.
We probably don't really understand how much we sweat. But at the aerobic level, a mountain rider, getting after it, bulldogging, you can sweat up to 1 liter an hour.
That's kind of hard to fathom.
It is.
You picture a 1 liter bottle.
Yeah, that is a lot of moisture that's now inside whatever system that you're wearing, whatever outerwear piece that you're wearing has to be able to try to move some of that moisture out so you can stay warm, dry, or comfortable, because you're going to sweat another liter the next hour. Like, you got to kind of stay on that. So those two aspects, I think, are really important for us to understand, and the moisture definitely has an effect then back on the insulations that we were talking about, this thermal aspect. The insulation value of some of the materials that we use is got a good insulation number when it's dry.
Right.
And then you start adding moisture to it, and you are now changing how effective that insulation is.
You're constantly battling this domino effect.
Yeah. So it really is something that we obsess about. We don't have to get into kind of too deep in what we look at, but those two aspects kind of go in hand on what we build. So I'll kind of look at an example. We can kind of dive into kind of the trail rider. You're up in the UP. You're riding in February and it's negative temps. You're going to need enough insulation to be able to keep you warm. It's interesting, the human body is actually putting out heat. We are burning calories. And when you burn calories, those calories are heat. And so you've got to be able to regulate that heat. You don't want to actually be over insulated, because then you're just going to get hot. Then you're going to get sweaty.
Now you're battling the moisture aspect again. Yeah.
Yeah. Starts turning into this swirl. So we really want to make sure that we have a good system that works and allows you to stay at that sweet spot of good temperature, not sweating a bunch, and really staying warm, dry, and comfortable. That's all you got to do. Right. So I think some, examples, and probably my number one recommendation for the trail riders is focusing on this as a system and really relying on the system to work well, to insulate you and to manage that moisture. The number one item is not really new for us this year, but we just launched it last year. I had the chance to use it throughout the season, and it's an amazing piece. It's the FCN Merino Party Suit. It's a one piece.
It's a showstopper too.
It's a really cool piece. It's a one piece using our FCN Merino wool. It's a little on the kind of winter side weight, it's like 270 grams. And so it's an awesome piece, and it manages moisture and manages temperature better than really anything else that's out there. And it largely does that because this merino wool is a natural fiber. It is been made through nature to perform.
Yeah, I'm sold on it from the mountainside. How many years ago? Maybe 3-4 now. We came out with the 2-piece merino, and having an understanding of how it worked. I haven't looked back. I can't imagine wearing anything else as the first layer.
Yeah.
There'll be times when I am drenched in sweat after just digging out of a hole, and then 10 minutes later, I go, oh, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm sitting in a soup or anything. Like I'm comfortable, and this works.
It's really good. We have a shirt and pant option. If you want shirt and pant, we have a really cool shirt that actually has a hood that's included. That really is a good integrated balaclava that works great under the helmet. But the FCN Merino is a really unique fabric, and I think that's where it performs the best. We've utilized some of the merino wool. The merino wool is a different breed. It comes from a different sheep, a different breed of sheep, and the merino wool fibers are finer, they're softer, and they manage moisture and manage temperature extremely well. You can wash them, you can dry them. All of that comes from that merino wool specifically. We've then blended that merino wool with a viscose, kind of from bamboo, cellulose-based viscose that's on the inside. So it's even soft, super soft next to skin. Yeah. And that manages moisture. It actually is a little bit more hydrophilic. It wants to absorb that moisture and kind of start pulling it. And then the merino wool is a little bit more on this hydrophobic side. So it does a good push-pull and really manages that moisture well.
I wish, so 20 years ago, I'm riding the UP. I grew up riding that area, and I felt like I was constantly just freezing my ass off. There was good technology out there, but I was, just not absorbing it.
Yeah.
And I see so many people doing, we've talked about before, got a cotton sweatshirt on, which works great until you get warm. But now living in the West for so long and retaining this information, I look forward to want to go back there and wear the correct series of layering.
Yeah.
And I've heard stories of friends who I've explained this to, who have gotten like the party suit or something, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I've never been like so okay with going out on a trail ride when it's 10 below."
Yeah. Yeah.
And personally, I want to firsthand experience that now, because I remember the days of like, we're bearing the elements. You're counting down the miles to the next restaurant to warm up, but you're still out trying to have fun. But you're constantly thinking about, I'm on the verge of dying of cold right now.
It's not comfortable.
No.
At least. I think that's important to understand. The cotton base layer and that ubiquitous base layer is decent insulation when it's dry.
Yeah.
And that's where people, I think, kind of fall into this, where it's like, oh, I put it on and I feel like there's good insulation there. It is decent insulation when it's dry. But like we described, when you start getting cotton wet, it actually changes from an insulator to a conductor. Mm-hmm. And now you start feeling the cold because it conducts quickly through the shell that you're wearing and the insulation. And now you start feeling cold, and now you feel damp, cold, and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to try to help avoid.
There's a specific visual that lives rent-free in my head. We got to quit it, Midwest, East Coast. The sweatshirt, cotton sweatshirt, but the hood's out.
Yeah.
You always have the hood and the dust from the trail.
Yeah.
And you see these rock solid frozen hoods. And eventually that starts touching your neck. Your skin's warming it. It's going down into your shoulders. And slowly things get wetter and wetter and wetter. And you get to the next stop. You take the jacket off and you see this guy now wearing a two-tone sweatshirt.
Yeah.
It all started just absorbing from the top and working its way in, and they're frozen.
Yeah. It is unfortunate, but I think we can solve it.
Yeah.
So the number one thing, if you want to be kind of, cost conscious, I know kind of times are tight, and I think we've probably got a lot of gear that's already out there. If you want your outerwear piece to perform better on the trail, I would recommend this FCN Merino. You now get 270 grams next to skin, and combined with an R200 or a Stoke ZI or Powerline jacket, you got now up to 500 grams of insulation in this system.
Yeah.
And it manages the moisture well. That one piece, if you add that FCN Merino, either the party suit, the shirt or pant, you make the outerwear piece perform better. Mm-hmm. That is kind of an interesting little trick, and it's a good investment to be able to make that piece perform at its best. It
should be almost like getting a new gear set. Should be like wearing it for the first time all over again. You're amplifying its capabilities that already exist.
Yeah.
So it's like the second time of Christmas all over again.
Yeah.
Adding the correct layering.
So I would recommend that piece. And honestly, I've been a Merino fan for years, but this piece in particular is great for the snowmobiler. It's a little bit on the heavier side. It has got fantastic capabilities and will make that outerwear system perform better. So if you're really kind of looking for maybe a more cost-effective option, we do have the level ones. That's 200 gram. It's polyester. Polyester is good. It actually is still way better than cotton. So we have those FCN level ones. We have an FCN level 1 party suit. I do like the one piece because you don't have all of this stuff down around your waist, tucking and untucking and all of that. It's all just in place and you're just ready to rock.
I feel it circulates heat a little better as well.
It does.
There's no waistband in there kind of restricting.
Yeah.
You compare that with take a guy in the West with a monosuit and it's like riding naked.
Yeah. It's great. So that's my pitch. I think these base layers can kind of look at like an accessory, and I would just try to persuade everyone this is a necessity. If you can let us build that system from you, from the skin, from the base layer up through the outerwear. You will stay warmer, drier, and more comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't met anybody disappointed in it once they take the time to give it a go.
Yeah, it's really good. So I think that's an important aspect. I think, as we start looking at some of the other kind of components there, cotton socks, no go, cotton boxer shorts, no go. Really kind of think about that next to skin and invest in a Stoke sock or tactical sock, an FCN Merino. We have a lighter, the Merino 180s boxer shorts. It's just a way lighter 180 gram boxer short, or whatever kind of sport boxer that's out there, as long as it's not cotton.
Right.
So that will help you guys a lot. Another new item that I think is really cool for the trail riders, we added the Saber boot. The Saber boot is now specifically designed for the trail rider. It has more insulation. We're using
packed with insulation.
It is. It's got 1,000 grams of Primaloft insulation, and that kind of goes back to our kind of thermal and insulation kind of question. The Primaloft performs better, has better insulation R values for a given weight than some of the other thinsulets and stuff that's out there. We also have an aerogel footbed put into this boot.
That's really cool. I kind of want you to dive into that, because correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, we can cut this out. But that is available as well to buy separately if you want to add it into, say, a Raid double boa boot or a Veloraid.
It is, yeah.
Which is awesome. I think that's a really cool, low profile, easy addition for a little bit of extra warmth.
Yes. As we got into this development with the Saber boot, we put this aerogel in. It is made by Primaloft. It's using this aerogel, and the aerogel came from NASA and some crazy nanotechnology, but it is the most efficient insulation that the human technology has ever built. So it is super efficient. It's a very good insulator. It's very low profile, and we will make those available as just a footbed that you can put underneath the liner that you have in your boot. Just slip that in, and it'll crank up a Veloraid so that it stays warmer, especially if you're standing around on the snow.
With that name in the history, I like to think it's the same stuff that's on the inside of a spacesuit.
I think it ended up in space first,
which is convincing enough to me.
Yeah. So, check out the new Saber boot. It's a little softer. It's a little easier to kind of walk around. It doesn't have that stiffness that mountain riders are looking for, but it's still a double boa system, easy on and off.
Yeah, I was impressed with the weight too, for being that packed with insulation. It's still a very manageable weight and comfortable to walk around in and out of a restaurant, gas station.
It is, yeah. So that'll be that's a new piece that's out really specifically for the trail riders. And then I think outerwear, we can kind of talk about the outerwear. We still have a lot of the great pieces. I think the R200 for me is probably the most versatile outerwear piece that we have, simply because it has that 200 gram insulation layer that can come out if you are riding on more mild days. You can still have your FCN Merino on, but take the 200 grams out if it's above 0 or 10, 20 degrees. Yeah. But if you're in negative temps, that 200 grams of insulation combined with the 270 grams of the FCN Merino gives you a very good 500 grams of insulation for trail riding.
Yeah.
We have the Power Line, the Stoke ZI. I actually really like that. It allows you to be able to have the benefit of the Stoke 5-Tech Pro material that's 20K, 20K. So you've got a little bit more of that MVTR, the vapor transfer rate, and has insulation zones really where you're getting hit by kind of that free stream.
Quick note back on that R200. I see it very, very frequently. If you're in the more tourist destinations in the West.
Yeah.
And I always tend to ask the guys, where are they from? Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Which is awesome because
Yeah.
that is the all-in-one jacket.
It is.
This is a group that goes home and can trail ride it. Go out west, you don't have to spend another, whatever on another set of gear. They just pull out that liner.
Totally.
And they're aware of the versatility of that jacket. And
Yeah.
they're putting it to use.
Yeah. I think it is the versatility that makes it a great workhorse. It allows you to really even kind of work in the layering aspect. You can just put that 200-gram piece back in. Or if you have another insulation layer that you want to wear instead, you've got that versatility if you want. So I think that's really cool. Just rounding out the trail rider, the backcountry gloves this year, and the free rides. We've added merino wool to the palm side on those gloves. This small little kind of refinement there, but we're just really seeing the benefit of the merino wool and its capability of being able to insulate. In the case of gloves, even when you've got some compression, you're actually hanging on to the bars. While at the same time, your hands sweat, especially if you got the heated grips
on. There's so many factors once you really start analyzing gloves.
Yes.
It's incredible any of us know how to make gloves when you really think about all these, there's human force of adding technology of the heated grips in there. And then there's the natural force of POW days. And all of a sudden, like you said, these two fighting against each other, that's amplified when it comes to handlebars.
Yeah. Merino wool does very good at managing that moisture, but there is that other element there of now adding heat to the bar and to the grip. It feels good for a while, but then we kind of get sucked into that, and all of a sudden you're like, my hands are sweating like crazy. So really kind of keep an eye on that heated grip and turn it down so that it's just at that point where you're warm and comfortable, but not hot and wet and uncomfortable. We got to really stay on that sweet spot. Yeah, and so then just to wrap up the trail side, for the trail riders, we've got a new helmet that we're offering in the Tactical 3.0. You can see them back here. We have a mountain version, a trail version. The trail version has what we call the V system, and that is this I-port gasket that really is almost a balaclava and the breath box all integrated to the liner of the
ultimate
helmet.
seal for somebody who wants to still ride with goggles.
Yes. So this Tactical 3.0 is really a great new option. If you are a trail rider and you want a little bit more of that versatility that a goggle gives you, a little bit more field of view, a little bit lighter weight, that's a great option. It actually has Cardo capabilities. We've got this Cardo UCS system, kind of stands for a Universal Communication System, that can actually plug into the helmet itself. And so you can kind of see that back here. This is where a lot of the brains and the battery goes. Then you got a little controller over here. Microphones and speakers are all set in. And that allows you now to be able to communicate with other riders, helmet to helmet. And it's a great versatile piece. It allows you just to buy the helmet. You don't have to buy the comms. If you want to buy the comms, you can add it in. And then if you want to get a different helmet later, you can take those comms out and put them into the new helmet.
Yeah, it's also neat. There's a lot of people, trail riders, who will have radios still, because not everybody in the group has comms on.
Yeah.
And we have been able to pair a lot of the Bluetooth radios with this as well. So just because your buddy doesn't have comms built into his helmet but still utilizes a radio, there's a good shot that you are able to pair with him and still communicate. That,
I think, is a really unique solution that has kind of cracked this open a little bit. The long-range radios are more reliable and definitely in the mountains, at least, that is the standard. That's the baseline.
Right.
But I think that is a great way to do that. You can now push to talk on the radio, but the sound comes in through the speakers, and you just talk into the helmet,
And we're leaning over and trying to get it up close to your mouth and hearing the sound of your jacket.
Yeah. And you do still, I tested it last year, and you do still like push the button and you get down there and try to talk into
subconsciously.
Like, you don't need to. Just talk into the helmet. So that's a new piece. We still have the Delta V in a lot of different kind of configurations, all the way from the Delta V Ignite to a Delta V Carbon in the Commander
with Cardo. Yeah.
We've really been able to just integrate a lot of that into that helmet. For everything that's packed in there, it is really a great helmet, lightweight. It flies well. It's really clean. It's pretty quiet. It's got earmuffs baked in.
Tail light, heated shield, comms. I mean, it's got a lot going on.
Yeah. I think we're working on, and probably will have available here, some kind of custom cheek pads. We're getting some kind of fine tuning the fit. Really hard to kind of look at the crown and the cheeks. And so we're looking at some custom cheek pads that allow you to be able to kind of tune that cheek pad for what you want. And then kind of in that same development, but we've got some samples here that I wanted to share with you guys. This is an X7 goggle that we have tuned for the trail rider specifically. We have some of these that we want to test this year. I think if those are listening, you're a trail rider, you're a 509 goggle fan, kind of bleep bloop down in the comments for us.
Yeah.
How many 509 goggles you have and why you think you'd be a good tester.
Yeah, I think it's a neat opportunity here. I'd love to, as we go through the comments, give us a paragraph on what your winter looks like, how long you've been riding, where you ride, how many miles you put on.
Yeah.
I love hearing those stories. If you got some deep-rooted history in snowmobiling and think you'd have a good little bit of input on testing a pair of goggles, we'll pick a few of you guys out and send them your way and get you in contact with Bill here to get some feedback on them.
I think that'd be great. I think we're going to give out 10 to people that are listening today, and we can go through and test that. We have.
It's also testing if you're listening right now.
Yes, exactly.
This is in the middle of the podcast, so.
Exactly. So we have gotten feedback that snow dust can get in, and snow dust is super fine, and will get in if there is little chinks in the armor. So we have primarily tightened up the filter foam that's actually on the frame vents. We've gotten rid of some of the venting on the lens itself, and you can now still shutter these closed. Get less airflow. You don't need as much of that airflow as trail riders, but also be able to more effectively filter out that dust. So want to really get that feedback and make sure we're going down the right path. Yeah,
and mind you, this was a goggle that was primarily mountain born. Kind of, the guys that are in the trees going a little slower. We're only going 20, 30 miles an hour, even though our track speed may say 60. And as you guys took an interest in this for trail riding, because it's an awesome frame with that outrigger, it pulls it really nice up against the helmet.
Yeah.
We were noticing, hey, there's room for improvement on this to cater to the trail side specifically, because outside of that, it's an awesome goggle.
Yeah, correct. I think, that goes back to that moisture thing, and your face has moisture, you're sweating in the helmet. And our focus when building that was getting as much airflow as we could and getting this thing to move moisture. So much that we put a fan in it for the S1 Ignite and really trying to get this thing to exchange more air, get a lot of that moist air out of the goggle so that you don't get fogging. Yep. So I think we've now kind of got this balanced where there's less airflow. We still got some airflow going through there. But we are going to really fine tune this for the trail rider guys specifically.
Fun opportunity too.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good. So let us
give us a little story.
Yeah. And
give us a good reason to send them to you.
All right. We'll send them out. Okay. So that's the trail rider. I think we'll talk about the mountain rider, and I think just back to this thermal story and the moisture story that we were kind of leading off with here. The moisture and managing the moisture for the mountain riders is paramount.
Yeah.
as you were kind of describing, it tends to be lower speed and a little bit more aerobic activity. And so you are working harder. You're burning more calories. You are creating more heat. We need less insulation, and we need as much of this moisture vapor transfer rate as we can get. And in good conditions, we look at our 5-tech kind of materials, Evolves, Allieds. Those use a 10K. And we've talked about this in the past, but just to kind of, go through that again, the 10K refers to 10,000 millimeters of water column. That's a waterproofness level.
You can talk about this any day of the week. I love hearing this every time.
It's really amazing fabric. I mean, it just is a technology that is really incredible. The waterproof breathable material will not let liquid water through, but it will let a water in its vapor form, in its gas form through. It is really incredible. And it just does that by the engineering of the laminate and its microporous, like nanoporous kind of capabilities that allow the gas to pass through, but not the water.
Sorry, I interrupted you on the 10K portion. Exactly what that meant.
Yeah.
I just, if you wanted to explain that a little clearer, because then that is implemented into the same reasoning if you go to 20K, whatever it may be.
Totally. So that 10,000 millimeters, that's 10 meters of water column. I mean, that's 33 feet underwater. That's the amount of pressure that these things will sustain without being able to force the water through.
Right.
So super waterproof. It's honestly not that hard to make. Some of these waterproof breathables waterproof. The trick is making them breathable. Yeah. This other 10,000 is 10,000 grams of water can pass through a square meter of this material in a 24-hour period. In this lab condition that is very favorable, there's a driving force there of high humidity and low humidity. And so that is kind of a best case day.
Right.
So that 10,000 grams in a square meter, if you take that down to just the hour and you're sweating up to a liter in that hour, you're only able to get about 400 grams of this moisture through that square meter in that hour. So you kind of see pretty quickly, like, you're not keeping up with that super aerobic kind of level. Now, hopefully you're not aerobic 8 hours of the day, and it's just really like when you're kind of getting after it or getting somebody unstuck. But that's when you start loading up this inside environment. Right. And that's where this 10K really becomes kind of important. If you look at our Stokes, that is a 20K, and that now gets you closer to 800 to 900 grams of moisture in a square meter in an hour, and that gets closer to what you're putting out. So that's where that difference really starts to matter. It depends on your riding style. And how much you sweat. Yeah. It really varies.
Even your region, like I mentioned earlier.
I think the region is even more important than what we have less control of. Yeah. But if we get in this environment and there becomes this environment where it is humid and we are in fog and it's raining.
So we're in Revelstoke.
Down in the parking lot in Revelstoke, and it is just, it's fog and it's raining. The air is saturated. The air is full of moisture. It is full. It has all the moisture that it wants, and it's even
visual confirmation.
Yeah, it's precipitating out and it's going back to liquid form because it cannot hold anymore in its gas state. Right. In that case, there is no driving force, and we are seeing that this moisture vapor transfer rate goes to 0. And that is the case in any waterproof breathable. Does not matter what material we're looking at. This is just nature, and this driving force needs to be there. You've got to have that high humidity inside and low humidity outside for this thing to be able to move that moisture. inside this environment, we have some heat that helps kind of drive off a little bit more of it. But the point is, I guess it really does slow this down. And it's on any piece. The tell that you can actually see in any piece that's out there that claims to be a waterproof, breathable, and claims to kind of keep you dry no matter what, is not really not really true. It can in good conditions, but it will struggle in some of these tough conditions, and you'll see that because we put vents on them. Mm-hmm. If there's a vent, that is suggesting that
it's not fully waterproof.
You're not going to be able to keep up. And so now if you open the vents and you get air to kind of just move through, you're able to get a lot of that moisture out there much quicker than trying to go through the membrane itself. So just, to kind of finish that off, the Sympatex in the ether that we have, it's almost 25K.
45, right?
Yeah, 45K waterproof, 25K breathability, moisture vapor transfer rate. And that 25K really is the closest to what you will be putting into the system, and it is now capable of getting it out. Now in a monosuit, we have more in the square meter, so it's like, just kind of some easy math there. But in order for that thing to perform its best, you've got to maximize that moisture vapor transfer rate across the entire monosuit or the jacket bib kind of combo. And I think that is important for us to really understand. That comes back to this base layer again. Like, you've got to get this moisture out away from these like armpits and the back and behind your backpack. You've got to get that all over so that the rest of the garment can move as much moisture as possible. So those are some of the mechanics that we're dealing with. Now, what would you recommend to a mountain rider to stay warm, dry, and comfortable? I would still recommend the FCN Merino if you're in sub-zero temperatures.
I'd recommend it anywhere, to be honest.
I honestly, I think I'm good to probably 20. You start getting above 20 degrees and you can start feeling this thing getting warm.
Yeah. December through February almost, that thing's good.
Right.
That thing's good for any day.
I think there is one caveat there. If you run hot, I think what I would just strongly recommend is wear less.
Yeah.
If you are hot and sweaty, you've got too much on. And if you want your goggles to not fog, wear less. That is a really kind of important aspect of mountain riding. As you become more of a mountain rider and you ride more, I think you learn this pretty quickly. That's really where this layering kind of thing really becomes important. But don't be comfortable temperature-wise at the trailhead. Start off a little chilly and work your way into the day, and you're going to get warmed up. If you're doing a big, long trail ride, maybe you wear a mid-layer or something and then take it off.
There's so many options to stow with you too, from a heated glove to the down, the new down. I'm drawing a blank in the name right now.
Yeah, the King Down.
King Down,
Yeah.
You have options because at some point, end of the day, who knows, sun went down, you got a trail ride back still, and that's the last thing you want to be is cold. For sure.
So the moisture is really important. I think dressing right is really important for the mountain riders.
Yeah.
I think the Allieds and Evolves are really good performance pieces for the money, great value. They've got stretch built into them. They are reinforced. They have knee pads built in. They've just got a lot of details that are all really based around this thermal and moisture management. The knee pad, really kind of interestingly, is probably our best insulation that we have in terms of how does it perform in compression and or wet conditions. And so that's why we put the knee pads on the knees. It does really well at insulating you, even though you're kneeling, fixing something mechanical or whatever. It also does a good job of insulating you as you are riding.
Right.
And it does it really well because it's closed cell foam. It doesn't absorb moisture and it doesn't get affected as much by that moisture. It keeps its insulation. We also put the insulation in the seat, and it's not that we really want to necessarily insulate you and keep you warmer. It's just that we want to insulate you from the cold seat.
It's a high contact point.
It's a high contact point. It's really the only spot that you're touching outside of your gloves. But we want to keep that insulation so that you don't get the snow that's out on your shell wet, starts to melt. When it melts, then the snowball starts. Then you get more snow, then it melts. Like, we've got to really try to avoid that.
And you get a wet ass.
And
there you are.
So the insulation seat really is kind of important. It keeps you just, again, warm.
And I don't care how cool and tough of a rider you are. At some point on that whipped out trail, you're looking for a section to sit down.
Yeah.
We're not standing all day.
That's right. And we will get some of this feedback where it's like, hey, my seat's wet. The shell is leaking. We will bring these in. We have test equipment. We go through and test the seams and test some of the kind of spots that look like they maybe have abrasion. And we'll test them with water pressure, and the shell is not leaking. So it feels like you got wet in the seat, but it tends to come from cotton boxers or some other part next to skin where it's like you're wet on the inside. You will feel it. And if you don't have a good insulation layer, the cold seat and the cold snow that you're sitting on will transfer into that cold and make you feel wet.
And there's no coming back from that too.
No,
that's the tough part.
No, yeah, you got to
tough
it
like
out.
You said, it all just circles back to proper layering to start off the day.
Yeah, it's true. So we've got some really great pieces there. I think the ether has been a really good piece. I actually have used a combo of the Stoke bibs and an ether jacket. I mean, you can mix and match and kind of use really what we have in the line.
Yeah.
The monosuit, I think you've been kind of using. And
I put 65 days in last year on that one monosuit.
Yeah.
Kind of out of a little bit of a testing aspect.
Yeah.
But then I purely enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
It just worked. That is a piece that with its high ratings, it just kind of works in every scenario.
Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
Very
well.
From being up in BC to being at 9,000 feet in Wyoming, like I just change what I'm wearing under it.
Yeah.
For where I am. And it's comfortable all day and in every single weather, from sideways whiteouts to blue sky.
Yeah. It is really good. I think it water sheds really well. That's another key aspect of making sure that this moisture vapor transfer rate is happening, is not having the shell being wetted out. So a good water repellency, it comes with a good water repellency out of the box or out of the package. But we do sell this Nikwax TX Direct, which is a water repellency replenisher. You can just spray it on, throw it in the dryer, and it will bring back that water repellency and allow that moisture to bead off instead of wetting out that face fabric.
Yeah. I think that's a big thing to say, is the face fabric.
Yeah.
It's not working its way through, although you might visually think, how am I not soaked right now?
Right.
It's just ready for a new DWR hit.
Yeah, exactly. So that's important. I would say Christmas time, give yourself a little Christmas gift and buy the little Nikwax TX Direct. Give your thing a wash if you're around oil, which, two-stroke smoke is oil. The water repellency does not like oil. Dirt, any of that stuff.
You change
sweat.
one belt on the mountain. There's no clean way to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So give it a wash. I think we got instructions on how to do all that on our site. But give it a wash, put some TX Direct on it, dry it, and then it's replenished probably for the season. So other kind of new aspects and new items for the mountain rider. You mentioned the King Down. And I think the new King Down anorak is another mid-layer layering piece that we have added to the line that is, I think, really important for the mountain riders. You got to have a mid-layer in there. in your backpack, whether you use it that day or not, just because you can get into a situation where you're stopped. Mechanicals or first aid, something, who knows what's going on, but all of a sudden the whole train stops. You're now getting cold, and this is time to really like take the shell off and put an awesome duck down anorak insulation piece on, and it is again very good insulation, R value for its weight.
Right.
Super efficient, great layering piece. Really super light and packs down to kind of just a little bit over the size of a softball. Yep. It is, again, kind of natural down insulation materials. We're using a natural duck down in that piece, and it is a really cool piece to bring with you. I really even recommend, it's kind of a good trick if you stop for lunch and you're going to kind of stop for a little bit. I take the jacket off and put a mid-layer on, and that mid-layer does a good job of absorbing a little bit of this moisture that's built up in your base layer. And that allows you to now get a little bit ahead of the curve and get some of this moisture out of the system. When you take that mid-layer off and throw it in your pack, it's now like got a little of that moisture, but you're now a little bit net drier, ready for the afternoon and be able to get after it again.
Tell me if this is wrong, but I have, up until having the King down, I've enjoyed having just a Sinloff vest.
Yeah.
I feel my arms are always okay.
Yeah.
It's that torso where I'll lose heat as the day goes on, or I'm just end of the day. And that sin down vest just packs away super easy as well. When you eliminate the sleeve aspect, it becomes that much smaller of a garment.
Yes.
And that's a game changer for being something so small.
I think the vest is what I use the most.
Okay, good. That makes me feel...
Yeah, it is the core. And if you can keep the core warm, and it does so much work with such little amount of space, it's a great solution for layering, especially for mountain riding, is the sin down vest.
Yeah.
That allows you to really be able to get that core warmed up, but not have as much bulk. More of the trail rider, I think, that's when you really probably need the arms, but mountain riding,
higher speeds, wind.
Yeah, I think the vest is going to be there. And that could be something that we look at for the King down, is building a little bit more of a King down in the vest.
Make it golf ball size then when it rolls up.
Maybe tennis ball. But yeah, it is super packable. And I think that's the benefit of that down material. It packs down really great, but then it has a lot of good insulation. Other stuff for the mountain rider, again, I mentioned the free rides, and the backcountries have merino wool in the palms. We really learned a lot of this merino wool and its benefits in the Stoke glove that's been out a couple years, but has become really, I think, a team favorite,
For sure.
509 headquarters favorite. A lot of the mountain riders love the Stoke, and this is really where we kind of push the edge a little bit in the paradigm of, you want to keep your hands drier.
Get rid of the waterproofing.
Get rid of the waterproof breathable laminate that's in there. And it actually works really well at managing that moisture, managing temperature, and getting you in that sweet spot and keeping you there. I don't know if it's maybe perfect for every condition. You're in kind of wet, gloppy snow. It's probably
not the all-day glove, but it's when you're riding, you're in the zone.
Yes.
That is the go-to.
Yes. So that's a killer glove. I think we've added some colorways.
The grip on it as well is awesome. That's a goat leather palm?
It's goat leather and merino, and it doesn't have that slippery, waterproof, breathable in the middle. So you have better grip. That is a really cool piece. I think we talked about the Tactical 3.0s in this mountain form. This is a killer piece. When we came out with the Delta V Commander this last year, we went through the Denver and the Salt Lake shows in particular. People were excited about them and like, I need one for my mountain riding. And this Tactical 3.0 kind of gives you that ability while still utilizing the push-to-talk radio and that longer distance that you need in the mountains. The Oxbow Renegade X is a great Bluetooth radio that we've used, and it allows you to be able to stay connected. You can't use the excuse anymore, like, "Oh, I didn't hear you," chirping off on the radio.
In your ears. I am in your ears.
Yeah, now it's like, it's in your helmet. You're gonna hear the guy that he's stuck, but you're gonna have to come up with some other excuse why you're not gonna go help him get unstuck. So that's a cool piece that we've added this year. I do have to say that one piece I just really started using this last week as it started getting into the 30s and 40s here in Spokane is the new Send Down Ignite jacket using Climate technology. That is a new piece for us this year. We've partnered with Climate. They're a fantastic technology company.
Year one last year, correct?
Year one last year in the gloves.
With the glove, with the backcountry.
Correct. And now this year, just coming out with this jacket. It is an amazing heated piece that knows what temperature you are and knows when to turn off the heat and not blow you out of the thing. I'll wear it in the office and it's on, but it's not heating.
It's actively adjusting to you.
So the Climate piece just is really super efficient at managing that battery power, making it last way longer, and just the comfort range is super important. It has an app that you actually connect. It asks you a bunch of questions of kind of what type of activities you're doing. How old are you? Do you feel cold a lot? Do you feel hot a lot? And then it bakes that into an algorithm and decides when to turn the temp on and off. Really just kind of tap it if you want to adjust it, or you can pull your phone out and change. I mean, it's just an amazing piece. That is for everyone.
Yeah.
I don't care what, you don't even have to be snowmobile riding, but that is like, everyone needs that in
shoveling the driveway, taking the garbage out,
Yeah.
walking the dog.
Yeah.
That is a piece, like you said, everybody should have.
Yeah. It's a really, great piece, casually, high performance. It's got great insulation and a little bit of stretch on the face fabric. So it's a little quieter, really a cool piece, but I think you could also use that probably more in the trail conditions as a layering piece. If it's cold and you're in -20 and you need a little bit extra heat, this is a great way to do it.
And guaranteed heat, not waiting for yourself to warm up. You actively have heat touching your body.
Yes. Now we're changing the equation. Instead of really just relying on,
that was my next question.
Yeah, I really just, instead of relying on just the body heat and that's all you got, and this air is tearing away all of this heat, we're now adding heat to the equation and giving you some of this extra heat that really will kind of get you up and on plane and get you back to warm, dry, and comfortable.
I don't want to overlook the glove either. The glove for the Western rider, I think, has been a game changer. It's awesome anywhere, trail rider, mountain rider. But for us in the mountain world, we take our gloves off pretty frequently.
Yeah.
End of the day, you're running down, whatever, you got to pull over, pee on the way back from down the mountain.
Yeah.
And not having that fear of, oh shoot, I forgot to turn this off. Throw it in your backpack or it's in your tunnel bag, whatever. It's bouncing around. It's not accidentally hitting a power button and then you pull them out at the end of the day and the battery's dead. That's eliminated.
Yeah. If you've not gone to some of these consumer shows or checked some of this technology out, I would recommend going to a dealer, consumer show, wherever. Put your hand in one of these. They know when your hand goes in and they turn on. And again, they really monitor the temp and give you heat when you need it, but save power. I use those actually on a kind of a longer motorcycle trip right around this time last year. And they were comfortable all day.
Right.
The battery lasted all day. And I could feel them turn on when I go up high over a pass or get on a north-facing slope or something. And it's like, oh, you're in the 40s. And they would turn on. But the rest of the day, the rest of the trip, they were actually just an insulated glove, not adding any more heat into them.
Yeah, those have been a game changer for me. I've been guilty as charged of not turning the previous generation off before hitting the power button. There's still like, that's on me though. Like there's still a good option.
Yeah.
But now being able to just toss them in the backpack, toss them in the tunnel bag, and they're ready to go the second you pull them out.
Yeah.
Or you stop and have a snack on the way down and you set your gloves to your side. They're not sitting there wasting battery.
Yeah, they're really cool. So I think that's a really cool piece. The Climate guys are really an awesome group to work with, and expect more of this kind of stuff from Climate and 509 in the future. We're definitely working on some new pieces. Last, I'll kind of close off here. We've got a few pieces that we've added for women. We have a new 5-in-1 jacket, great piece for trail riding. It allows you to actually take the 200-gram layer out from the jacket, wear it on its own. You can actually even reverse it. And so that turns into the 5 combinations of these two pieces. So that is new for us this year and has been really a kind of a good early seller for us as we've gotten into the season. But that 5-in-1 Aurora jacket is something for sure to check out.
Yeah, it's a cool piece. It's a good looking piece too. Works as a casual running around town piece.
And so we have that piece. We've definitely got some of our new casual. We've got Black Friday that's coming up. You're gonna have to kind of stay tuned for Black Friday and some of the new stuff that we have coming then. But we are really excited to get this winter going. Yeah, get some snowmobile riding going. I know you trail guys have really had some probably some tough winters to kind of battle through, but it's coming. It's feeling like it's coming.
It's hit that point of the year where I'm like sick of talking about snowmobile and would like to do more riding than talking about them. Yeah. I don't ever actually get sick of talking about them, but the balance is off right now.
Yes. It'll happen, McKinney. I know. It's coming. It's coming.
I know. Yeah. You got anything else, Bill?
I don't think so. I think, we're really, at this point we've kind of lived through this cycle. There's a lot of good pieces that we have out there. As we've evolved this line, we've got good tried and true pieces that won't change as often. We've just got really solid pieces that are out there. I think the one thing that we would kind of just reiterate again is we can make the current pieces that you have, the current outerwear pieces, perform better with a base layer and some of these other pieces like the FCN Merinos. Adding to that system can actually allow you to not have to spend a lot this year, but be able to get that piece to perform at its best. Well said.
I can't thank you enough every time you do this. That was good. That was action-packed, good, very informative. I know everybody enjoys hearing. There's people like myself who geek out in this stuff, and it just reassures what they're purchasing. It leads, betters their confidence that they got the right product for the right terrain or region, whatever it may be. I hope everybody got something out of that. I did randomly think of this. There is right now available a LE Shadow Viz colorway in the Ether. Yes. In the jacket and in the mono suit, which is a pretty cool high vis hit across the shoulders and then kind of a dark gray fading to black. Yeah. So that is now available. That's kind of a fun thing. It's still, the tried and true Ether technology, but in a limited edition colorway. Yeah. Available right now.
I think on our website.
Yep.
That is out there. It is a killer piece, a little bit more of the high vis. So you get a little bit more visibility, kind of an important aspect in mountain riding. But that is that is a little LE hit that we added this year.
Those are always fun. So,
thanks for having me, McKinney. I think we're going to continue working on this, and it's really exciting for us to get feedback from customers, which helps us make better product and make new product for trail riders, mountain riders, Arctic riders, like wherever you guys are out there riding. Just love to hear from you guys and what else you want to get from us.
Sweet. Reminder too, if you made it this far, we do want to get some of you guys testing this kind of trail version of the X7. So leave a comment, give us a cool short story of your riding experience, how long you've been riding, where you've been riding. Just give us a good reason why you'd be a good fit to try these out, and we'll get in contact with you. Other than that, at this point, this is actually going to air tomorrow.
Whoa.
I gotta do some work here this afternoon. And I also need to, what I'm getting at is pack this trailer. So coming up here, if you guys want to come check out some of the stuff in person, obviously your local dealer is your easiest option. But then we will be at the Salt Lake City Snow Show on the, is that the 18th, 19th of October? Whatever
Sounds
that
right.
Friday, Saturday is.
Yeah, maybe 17, 18.
And then the following weekend, which is, I believe, 25th, 26th in Denver, at the Snowmo Expo. And then we are also, we're on the East Coast right now with our semi. I think we have Epping this weekend in New Hampshire, which is the big one, the kind of heydays of the East. And then, where do they go from there? Do they have Toronto in the mix there too?
I can't keep track.
We're all over the place. Either way, there's a lot of opportunity to come and chat with, a professional here at 509. Try this stuff on, get in your local dealer and figure out exactly what you need for the upcoming season. And hopefully we see you guys in the snow.